know that feeling of, I did it? Knowing that you didn't give up. The feeling of pure accomplishment. This kind of self-empowerment is at the core of my practice as an integrative psychotherapist. In my healing work, I've learned there is one thread to living an empowered life, but we keep missing it. We keep trying so hard to make it happen, but we really don't get it. So I'm here today to give you this one thread so you can stop chasing it and start living it. My did it moment came when I was just 18. I woke up to the sound of the pilot announcing, "Folks, we are beginning our descent into Auckland." A rush of anticipation flooded my body. I was leaving my past behind to study abroad. I slowly turned over to the window shade to lift it up for my first glance at my dream vision, my heart filled with joy. The sun rising with these brilliant colors of hot pink, orange, and yellows against a blue sky and a very blue ocean. It was as if I had never seen light that way before. That sunrise was my new beginning. Against all odds, I was about to begin a new life, a new culture, new family, new school, new friends, a new me in New Zealand. Even though I had been told that I could never do it, I had moved beyond every obstacle that was put in front of me. My darkest obstacle was when I was 13. Feeling like I couldn't take it anymore, I sat on the floor of my bedroom closet, crying. I contemplated suicide. Feeling very alone, I had decided to take as many pills of whatever I could to end my suffering. I no longer wanted to be alive. I could remember being crouched down with my arms wrapped around my knees, crying. Everything was dark, except for this one thin line of light that came from beneath the door. That light anchored me in some form of grace. It was as if it was breathing me. Not long after began psych evaluation, ink blot test, hours of therapy, dreadful hours of sitting on a stranger's couch whom I was determined not to let in. The last session with the psychotherapist, my dad was invited into as a way to get me to open up. And I was convinced they thought I was the problem and not worth listening to. So I fell asleep, waking up to my dad yanking me off the couch and out the door. From that point on, something was different. He realized he had little control over the problem, and his approach needed to change. He didn't give up. And if he wasn't going to give up, I wasn't going to give up. I dove into understanding why not only I was in suffering, but why so many of us are in suffering. I was 13 years old, reading the autobiography of Gandhi and Malcolm X. I needed to understand how they moved through their suffering into leading such powerful movements. I dove into understanding the human experience, studying psychology, philosophy, astrology, mythology, history, yoga, meditation, any wisdom that could help me make sense of my place in this world. For years, feeling unseen by my parents, it was my dad who re-sparked meaning in my life when he reminded me of my childhood vision. Something I had envisioned when I was just 7 years old to study abroad, but had forgotten when life became very challenging. In hindsight, it was my dad who first showed me what I'm here to show you, which is how to discover the power within you to be resilient when life knocks you out of balance. Because here's the deal. life will knock you out of balance at some point. Living out of balance brings disharmony and a multitude of symptoms, such as depression, anxiety, difficulty sleeping, the need for addictions, and so many others. We have an overwhelming amount of stress that comes with negative thoughts, criticisms, and judgments, something I'm sure far too many of us are familiar with. On the flip side, living from a place of imbalance, we experience ease, connection, creativity, confidence, peace, joy, happiness, what we always want for ourselves. One is surviving, the other is thriving. This may sound like something you've heard before, but after years of guiding clients out of states of survival, I began to integrate the wisdom our ancestors once commonly lived. The thread of wisdom from past leaders, master scholars, and spiritual teachers is to look within. Those that live powerful and meaningful lives practice this truth. So how do we begin to realign mind, body, and soul when living out of balance? Because knowing this and doing this are very different. And doing this is not easy. Through my journey, both personally and professionally, I have discovered a simple guide when living out of balance. I call the 4 V's. When we become aware and take ownership of the 4 V's, we create inner wisdom because it comes from looking within. Those 4 V's are values, virtues, victories, and vision. The first V, values. Values are what give yourself a deep sense of meaning, connection, purpose. This could be your family, career, passions, hobbies. Values are what light you up. It's what you're willing to fight for, sacrifice for, and more importantly, to live for. The second V, virtues. Virtues is the core of who you are, your morals and code of ethics. Virtues are your inner compass to right and wrong. When you live by virtues such as fortitude, wisdom, honesty, temperance, justice, you begin to elevate your thoughts, words, and actions to align with your higher self, which then creates a cause and effect of well-being away from shame and fear. Virtues builds integrity. The third V, victories. Victories are your successes, accomplishments, celebrations. This doesn't have to be big. This can be as little as getting out of bed and going to work or school. I teach my clients to begin the day with gratitudes, but end it with victories. Victories are the breadcrumbs that lead us back to a sense of self-esteem. Victories are the I did it moments. With consistent victories, anything is possible. The fourth V, vision. This is magic, pure magic. Vision is creating a conceptual scene of who you most want to be, how you most want to feel, and what you most want to live. By imagination alone, you can create a detailed imagery of your future self, which then allows the mind and body to sync up into a deep state of coherence, sending out a signal to the universe. The law of attraction teaches us, by thoughts, feelings, and emotions, what you put out is what you get back. By intentionally creating and sitting with your vision, you have the power to shift energy internally and externally. But these 4 V's are not passive practices. They take action and commitment. The easiest place to start is with victories. When we go to sleep, celebrating ourselves, many I did it receptors are firing, setting a tone for your rest and reset. Telling your subconscious that you are a badass who knows who they are, what they're doing, and why. Whether you or someone you know is moving through obstacles, no matter how dark it gets, there's always a thin line of light beneath the door. And it doesn't take much to open into a beautiful sunrise, a new beginning.